Hello students, welcome to this session of atoms and molecules. In this session we'll be discussing about the molecular mass. That is, what is the mass of a molecule, of a compound or of an element, or how to calculate it. We'll also discuss about the mole concept, right? So let's start our theory session. What is a molecular mass? See, the molecular mass of a substance is the sum of atomic masses of elements, right? Now, atomic mass of each element is multiplied by the number of atoms of it present in the molecule. So how is the molecular mass calculated? By summing up the atomic masses of elements. Now, it is the relative mass of a molecule and is expressed in atomic mass units, that is U, or simply U, units. Unified atomic mass unit. Right? Let's take up one example. Let's calculate the atomic mass of one molecule of water. Right? So this is one molecule of water. Now in this case, how many atoms of oxygen are there? Yes, it's 1. And how many atoms of hydrogen are there? 2. Now what is the mass of hydrogen? This is equal to 1. And what is the mass of oxygen? It is equal to 16. So what will be the mass of water molecule? It is what? 2 into, how many atoms of hydrogen are there? 2. So 2 into 1 is the mass of hydrogen. This is what? 16 units. 1 unit plus of 16. So what we will get? We'll get 18 units. Right? So it is a relative mass, as the atomic masses are the relative mass. These are relative to the mass of carbon 12 atom. What is unit or U equal to? It is the mass which is exactly equal to 1/12th of the mass of C12 atom. Say if I have to calculate the molecular mass of calcium carbonate. What is the formula of calcium carbonate? What is the symbol of calcium? Let's write it. Calcium carbonate. What is the symbol of calcium? It's Ca. What is the symbol of carbonate? It's CO3. Right? And minus is a charge. Now the valency of calcium, it is +2, or it's 2. It is an ionic compound, and the charge, we can say the charge on calcium is +2. And what is the valency of an iron? It is the charge on it. The number, the magnitude of charge on it. Now it is -1. This is -2 only. Carbonate is 2 minus. So cross over of the valencies, what you'll get? Ca2CO3 twice. Now it doesn't exist as a dimer, so we'll divide the whole by 2, the numbers by 2, and we'll get CaCO3. Now what is the mass of calcium carbonate? How will you calculate? The mass of calcium, that is atomic mass of calcium, is 40. Atomic mass, that is 40 units, right? Atomic mass of carbon is 12 units, and atomic mass of oxygen is 16 units. So we'll do 40 plus 12 plus, how many atoms of oxygen are there? 3. So it would be 16 into 3. Now that gives you 40 plus 12 will be 52. 52 plus 48. So what will be the mass? It will be 100 units. Fine. Now there is one more concept, students, that is the gram atomic mass and gram molecular mass. Let's see what is it. What is gram atomic mass? So it is the amount of a substance of a substance whose mass in grams is equal to, that is numerically equal to its atomic mass. Right? So it is the amount of substance whose mass is numerically, or mass in what? Mass in grams is numerically equal to its atomic mass. Say for example, oxygen. The atomic mass of oxygen is how much? It's 16 units. So what will be the gram atomic mass of oxygen? It will be the amount of substance whose mass in grams, that is 16 grams, is numerically equal to its atomic mass. So gram atomic mass of oxygen is 16 grams. Right? Likewise, there is gram molecular mass also. How it will be defined? It is the amount of substance whose mass in grams is numerically equal to its molecular mass. Right? Say here, in this case, what will be the gram molecular mass of calcium carbonate? It would be 100. That is 100 grams. So the amount of calcium carbonate whose mass in grams is equal to its molecular mass numerically, that is its gram molecular mass. So the gram molecular mass of calcium carbonate will be again equal to 100 grams. Right? Now here there is a question. Calculate the molar masses of the following substances. Ethyne. Ethyne is, the formula given is C2H2. Now the atomic mass in units is given. So what will be the mass of ethyne? Carbon, what is the mass given? It's 12 units. How many atoms of carbon are there? 2 atoms, right? Plus hydrogen, what is the mass of hydrogen? 1 unit. How many atoms of hydrogen are there? 2 atoms. So this will give the atomic mass of ethyne, and it comes out to be 26 units. Right? What will be the gram molecular mass of ethyne? It would be the amount of ethyne whose mass in grams is equal to its molecular mass. That is numerically. Right? Likewise, phosphorus molecule. So what is the mass of phosphorus given here? 31 units. And how many phosphorus atoms are there in one molecule? 4. So what will be the mass? 124 units. Likewise, the molecular mass of nitric acid. What is the mass of hydrogen? 1 unit. Plus the mass of nitrogen, 14 units. Plus the mass of oxygen, 16 units. And how many atoms of oxygen are there? 3. So I'll do it into 3. So what will be the mass? It would be 15 plus 48. And it gives what? 5 plus 8 is 13, 1 and 4, 2 is 5. 53 units. Right? Sorry, here is a calculation mistake. It would be 63 units. Right? So this is the way how molecular masses can be calculated. Now let's move to mole concept. Mole concept. Now what is this mole? Mole is a link between the mass of atoms or molecules and the number of atoms or molecules. See, we have discussed the mass, that is what is the mass of one atom, or what is the atomic mass of an element, or what is the mass of a molecule of an element, or the molecule of a compound. But how many of them are present? Say we have got 16 units, or if I take its gram atomic mass, I've got 16 grams. 16 units or gram atomic mass, 16 grams of oxygen. But in this 16 unit or 16 gram of oxygen, how many atoms of oxygen are present? We don't know. There is simple mole. Mole is a word, or mole is a link between this mass of atoms and the number of atoms. 1 gram atom of any element contains the same number of atoms, and 1 gram molecule of any substance contains the same number of molecules. That is, whether it is 1 gram atom or 1 gram molecule, the number of that particular atom or molecule will be the same. That number is the same. Right? Say whether it's 1 gram atom of oxygen or 1 gram molecule of nitrogen. Say in 1 gram atom of any element, say 1 gram atom of oxygen, right, contains the same number of atoms, and 1 gram molecule of any substance contains the same number of molecules. So what is that number basically? Now this number has been experimentally determined and found to be equal to 6.022137 into 10 to the power 23. Correct up to 7 significant figures. Means this number, that is the number of atoms or the number of molecules in 1 gram atom of that substance of any element, or 1 gram molecule of any substance. Right? And this value was given by Avogadro, Amedeo Avogadro, and is called as Avogadro number. This value is generally used as 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. Right? And is denoted by Na. Say 1 mole of oxygen atoms. It means how many number of oxygen atoms are there, or what is the number of oxygen atoms in 1 mole. Now that number is 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. Remember this. In 1 mole of any element or 1 mole of a substance or a compound, the number of atoms or molecules is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23, and this 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 is called as Avogadro number. Now remember one more thing, that 1 mole of atoms of an element has a mass equal to the gram atomic mass of that element. So what is 1 mole? 1 mole is the number of atoms or molecules or even ions, right? The number of atoms or molecules or even ions in 1 mole of substance is 6.023 or 22 into 10 to the power 23. Now 1 mole of atoms of an element has the mass equal to its gram atomic mass. Say for example, gram atomic mass is a very, very important concept, students. It's simple, but still it's very important. Gram atomic mass of carbon, that will be equal to, gram atomic mass of carbon will be equal to 12 grams. Because what is gram atomic mass? It is the amount of substance whose mass in grams is numerically equal to the atomic mass. Right? So 1 mole of carbon, what will be the mass of 1 mole of carbon atoms? It will be also equal to 12 grams. Do remember this. So 1 mole of atoms of an element has the mass equal to the gram atomic mass of that element. Say 1 mole of oxygen, if I am writing, right, that too atoms. It means how many atoms are there in 1 mole of oxygen? 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. Or what will be the mass of 1 mole of oxygen atoms? It would be 16 grams. Mass means it is the gram atomic mass. Fine. So it's an important concept, but we should do some numericals related to this. This concept is very easy. You have to just remember 1 mole of any substance contains 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 atoms or molecules or anything. 1 mole of calcium ions, it means it has got 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 ions of calcium. Right? And this number is called as Avogadro number. Likewise, 1 mole of oxygen molecules. See, 1 mole of oxygen molecules. What will be equal to? It will be equal to the gram molecular mass of oxygen, right? That is gram molecular mass of oxygen. Now what is the gram molecular mass of oxygen? It is the amount of oxygen molecules equal to the molecular mass of oxygen. What is the molecular mass of oxygen here? What will be the atomic mass? It's 16 multiplied by how many atoms of oxygen are present there? 2. So this will come out to be 32. So the gram molecular mass of oxygen will be equal to 32 grams. And that is equal to 1 mole of oxygen molecules. Right? So this is the mole concept, and mole is the link between the atomic mass or the molecular mass and the number of particles in it. Fine. Now the molecular formula of a substance represents 1 mole of molecules of that substance. What does it mean? Say if I am writing the molecular formula of a substance. Now what does this represent? It represents 1 mole of water. Now this 1 mole of water contains how many moles of hydrogen? How many moles of hydrogen atoms are there? There are 2 moles of hydrogen atoms. Right? Now the number of moles of oxygen atoms, that is equal to 1. Likewise, in 1 mole of H2SO4, the number of H2SO4, say 1 mole, don't get confused here. 1 mole of H2SO4. How many molecules it is having? It is having 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 molecules. Right? In 1 mole of H2SO4, there are 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 molecules of H2SO4. And how many moles of this hydrogen? are present in 1 mole of sulfuric acid, 2 moles of hydrogen, 1 mole of sulfur and 4 moles of oxygen atoms. Right? So 1 mole of hydrogen atom. Hydrogen atom. What will be its gram atomic mass? Its gram atomic mass will be equal to 1 gram. How many particles or atoms of hydrogen will be present here? 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 particles will be present over here in 1 mole of hydrogen atom. Now students, let's take some numericals. Here are a few more points to remember. The amount of substance containing Avogadro's number of atoms or molecules is called a mole. A mole is a chemist's unit for counting entities at microscopic level, such as atoms, molecules, ions, electrons, protons, neutrons. 1 mole of electrons. So how many electrons will be there? 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. Likewise, 1 mole of protons. They'll have 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 protons. Thus, 1 mole is defined as the amount of substance that contains as many entities or particles as there are atoms in exactly 12 gram of C12ISO2. Right? So do remember one thing, 1 mole of a substance is the amount of substance containing Avogadro number of particles. Now let's solve few numericals. Here is one. Calculate the number of moles of 52 gram of helium. So you have to calculate the number of moles of helium in 52 grams of helium. Now we know that 1 mole of helium has gram atomic mass of, the atomic mass of helium is 4 unit, and amount of helium in grams, whose mass in grams is numerically equal to its atomic mass, is what? Gram atomic mass. So 1 mole of helium will be having the mass equals to 4 gram. Right? Now 4 gram of helium makes for how many moles of helium? 1 mole of helium. Right? So 52 grams of helium, it's very simple, will be how many moles? 1 by 4 into 52. So this will be calculated fast. It will be 13 moles. So 52 grams of helium contains 13 moles of helium. If the question is how many atoms of helium, if the question is like this, how many atoms of helium are there in 52 gram helium? How will you calculate now? 52 grams of helium. So how many moles are they? 13 moles, right? And in 1 mole of helium, how many atoms are present? 6.022 into 10 to the power 23, right? So in 13 moles of helium, how many helium atoms will be present? 13 moles. The number of helium atoms will be 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 into 13. Just calculate it. 13 into 6. Just a rough calculation you can do. That is 78.28 into 10 to the power 23 atoms. Right? I hope you have understood this. It's a very, very important concept. I hope you have enjoyed this session, students, and you have understood the concepts of atoms and molecules, the concepts discussed in this. That is about the atom, about the atomic mass, about the gram atomic mass, the gram molecular mass, also the Avogadro number. And we have also discussed the chemical formulae of elements. I hope you have understood this. Just go through your text, students, and in the next session we'll be solving questions. So it will be the problem solving session, right? So thank you once again and do have a nice time ahead.